Let's open that up.
Call to order the City Council regular meeting for the City of Wyoming, Minnesota, September 3rd, 2024. Let the record reflect we do have a quorum. Member Luker, Member Onstad, Member Schilling, Member Yeager, and Mayor Iverson are present. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
It doesn't look like we have anybody here for open forum, so we'll move on to number 1, approval of minutes. Consider approving the minutes of the work session meeting of the Wyoming, Minnesota City Council for August 20th, 2024. If there are no questions or comments, do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
We have a motion to approve by Member Luker. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Member Onstad. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So approved. Number 2, consider the minutes of the regular meeting of the Wyoming, Minnesota City Council for August 20th, 2024. There are no comments or questions. Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
We have a motion to approve by Member Schilling. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Member Luker. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So approved. Consent agenda number 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. Does anybody wish to pull anything from the consent agenda? Seeing none, we need a motion to approve consent agenda number 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
We have a motion to approve by Member Schilling. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second by Member Onstad. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So approved. Acknowledge receipts of reports of officers, boards, commissions, and department heads, number 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16. Does anybody wish to pull a report? Seeing none, we'll move on to communications, number 17. Update on age-friendly grant, community gardens. Mr. McFarland.
Yeah, thank you, Honorable Mayor and members of council. This is just an update on that community garden age-friendly grant that we've had going on. In your packet, you can see there's an article from August 20th that was written by one of the members, staff members from mHealth Fairview's media team. City staff was on site that day, August 20th, as well as members from Chisago County SHIP and then staff members from mHealth Fairview as well for what I think you could best describe as a makeshift kickoff for the garden. It's officially open, plots are available, and they're actually being used currently as well. The page with this one shares photos of what that garden looks like when it's being used. There's that accessible plots as well as the, I guess the 20 by 10 more standard plots you typically see there as well. But we just thought it was kind of nice to share the article with you guys and kind of show you where the grant led us, since that's been a long time coming at this point.
Yeah, I think it's important that we acknowledge everybody who is out there working on it. And it was mostly staff that was out there, so that was great. And then we had Dan Iverson, we had Mark, why am I drawing a blank?
Mark Hall.
Mark Hall, exactly, we're out there as well. Who am I missing?
Numerous members of Public Works are out there as well throughout the day, setting up
Yeah.
those accessible ones specifically, and they were helping, haul materials, brought out dumpsters for us as well, and so
Yeah,
couldn't
and
do a
came
lot of
out.
that without them.
Didn't they come out like that Saturday? We needed an extra garbage container too or something, didn't we?
Mr. Reeves came out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was out there for a little bit in the morning. We had a power fail that morning, and so we had an operator on site that moved a dumpster because the one had filled up, and yeah, we were happy to help out.
Yeah, I was out there for as long as I could be, and it was a lot of work, and it was a lot of hands trying to get it done. So, and it looks fantastic. So, good job.
Thank you.
All right, any questions, by the way, before we? No. Okay. Number 18, Railroad Park Phase 2, super exciting. Mr. McFarland, you're on again.
Awesome. Yeah, just another update. This one's pretty dang quick. Construction started on the second phase Wednesday, August 28th. If you've been out there, you can see they started with groundwork on Tuesday, and then Wednesday they started actually laying some of that rebarb and whatnot, so they get the concrete trail going in there as well. They've already put in the additional retaining wall, or sitting wall that's out there, and they're just moving along quickly with it. So it's J.L. Tyson. They've been out there, I think, since day one, moving pretty dang fast on that.
Super exciting. Any questions from council?
No.
Seeing none, we'll move on to new business. Thank you. Number 19, to consider resolution 240988, a resolution approving a preliminary tax levy for 2025 and setting a public hearing for truth in taxation at the December 3rd, 2024 Wyoming City Council meeting. So Mr. Linwood and Jesse, I think, are.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Mr. McFarland is gonna have Jesse join us here virtually. He's gonna work on that, but just a little bit of background on this item. This is the portion of the meeting where we would go through and we have a public, we have a resolution tonight to approve a preliminary tax levy by Office of the State Auditor. It's necessary to do so by September 30th, 2024 for municipalities to send that preliminary levy. The preliminary levy is, you can essentially, this is at the very most the city can levy for 2025. You can't go above it, but you can certainly lower it, as that has been more often than not what we've done in the past as we work through our tax levies. So with that, we do have Ms. Sturts here, and I think she is just going to give a synopsis and review of that levy. That, Mrs. Sturts, can you hear us okay?
All right, can everybody hear me okay?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. Can you also see my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so thank you, Mayor and Council. Tonight, we're going to adopt the preliminary levy. As you recall, once the levy is set tonight, the levy cannot increase at all, and we need to have this certified to the county by September 30th. After we get it certified, we will continue to work on the budget and the tax levy until we finalize it in December. All right, so tonight we're just gonna do a quick rundown of the tax levies, and then we're gonna run through the general fund revenues and expenses. Since last time, it hasn't changed too terribly much, but we'll just run through the numbers again and get it approved. So this should be page 2 of your budget memo. As you can see, the overall levy is going up $469,164, or 8.60%. So there's an overall increase of 7.67 of the general fund. That is the very top line in the 101 fund there. And the EDA fund is going up 50%, which is actually only $5,000 it's going up. Then we scroll down there to the capital levies. The overall tax levy for capital is gonna go up $165,000 and it's 34.74%. This includes a $60,000 increase to the capital equipment fund, a $5,000 increase to the park improvement fund, and a $100,000 increase to the street improvement fund. Then on the bottom there is a debt service levy, and overall that's going to go down $21,376, or negative 2.7%. This is mainly due to the 2009 GO bond falling off. And then if you look at the bottom there, we added in $107,000 for that new bond that is coming on. We wanted to get a head start on that, so the levy didn't increase or decrease drastically and increase next year. We wanted to keep it level. So then overall then, the tax capacity is actually going down $61,776, which is a negative 0.43%, but the city tax rate is going up 3.44% to 41.32%. So any questions on that?
Nope.
Okay. Then on this slide, it shows the tax levy broken out by the different types of levies. So the general fund there is the orange. That is the largest section, and it's slightly been increasing throughout the years. The yellow section there is the debt service levy, and as you can see, it's remained the same, basically the same throughout from 2020 to 2025. The the little black part there is the capital improvement fund. There's a little sliver of the green that started in 2022. That's when we started the street replacement fund. And the little piece at the top there is the EDA fund. On this slide then, it shows the tax rate. As you can see, from 2020 to 2022 it increased. From 2022 to 2024 it decreased, and now we're seeing a little bit of a tax or a the tax rate increasing to 41.32%. So on this slide, you can see the impact of the taxes on the different market values of residential properties. This is assuming no market value increases. So I do want to point out that the maximum exclusion amounts were increased for this year to 38,000 versus 30,400 as it has been in previous years. And also that is for properties valued at $95,000. In previous years, it was $76,000. So we're gonna see more of a, it's not really this year, we're not gonna be able to compare much of anything because they changed those values. So with that being said, with the new values in place, I'll just start, $100,000 house is approximately gonna go down about $14. A $200,000 house is gonna go up about 24. A $300,000 house is about $61 increase. A $400,000 house is gonna go up about $99. And then a commercial property at $500,000 is gonna go up about $318. So again, this is with no market value increase. I believe the county did decrease values, so we should see these numbers go down a little bit. All right, in these examples, these are the tax capacity impacts with the city tax rate. So in this example, this is if we if we leave the tax levy dollars flat, meaning we use the 5.4 million, same as last year. So if we keep the tax dollars flat, our tax rate will increase 0.16%. So as the tax capacity increases, cities can levy more dollars without a direct tax rate increase. So in this specific example, the city is able to keep a flat tax amount and the residents will see a decrease in their tax rate. So in this example, it's keeping the flat tax rate. So last year it was 37.89. If we kept it there again this year, we would see a decrease of levy dollars of $23,405, or a decrease in the levy of 0.43%. And this is the one that we are proposing today. So in this example, we are proposing the 2025 Wyoming tax rate and levies. So in this example, the levy dollars are increased by $469,164, or the 8.60%, and the tax rate will increase by 3.44%. So this is because it is because of the increased tax capacity that the city is able to levy more dollars while having a lower tax rate. All right, so we're gonna run through the general fund revenues and expenditures. So on this slide is the revenues, and I'm just gonna point out a few of the bigger changes there. A few of them didn't go up too much, but on the property tax line there's an increase of $320,540. That is the top line there, and this increase is due to offset the increases in expenses and the decreases in other revenues. So anytime the other revenues go up or down and the expenses go up or down, this property tax number changes. So that's what really drives the property tax levy. In the intergovernmental then, towards the middle, there's a decrease of $40,300. And that is due to the removal of the one-time police state aid income that was budgeted for 2024. I do want to point out that LGA did go up about $500 for a total of $388,238 for this year. And the last one I want to point out is the interest earnings. I increased it to $40,000, and this is due to the market values and interest rates. We're already over budget than what I budgeted for last year, so I increased that a little bit. Any questions on the revenues?
No.
Okay. I will move on to the expenses then. And on here, we can see the expenses broken down by the departments, and this is within the general fund. So I'll just point out a few of the differences again. So the first one I'll point out is the city clerk's office is going up about $25,000. This is the increase of wages and benefits due to COLA and step increases. And then we have some increases in networking, municipal computers, cleaning, and postage. So we increased a little bit of each of those. Elections, there is no elections next year, so I zeroed that out, so that's a decrease of 13,000. In the police department there's an increases in wages and benefits due to COLA and step increases. We added a part-time cadet position and the IC poet position. The IC poet position is going to be covered by a grant for the first few months of 2025, and after that, the city will pick that up. There's an increase in communications of about 3,500, vehicle maintenance of about 2,000, and an increase in uniforms of about 3,500 for that. Then in the fire department's going up about $29,825. That's an increase of contracted services about 3,500, and that's due to the increase of price of annual physicals. They added in vehicle maintenance of $5,000 for new tires and an increase of communications of 2,500. Those are the bigger changes. The highways and streets then, there's an increase in wages and benefits due to COLA and step increases and an increase in repairs and maintenance. And the last one is parks. And again, it's an increase in the wages and benefits. And then there's an increase in contracted services, and that is due to the lawn mowing contract that is expiring at the end of 2024. We budgeted a little higher for that because we didn't know what those were gonna come in as. At the end of the packet, there is a line-by-line item. If we want to go over any of those line items, we certainly can at the end. And the last slide here, it just shows the percentages of the general fund. So the top three areas are the police department, which is the orange, and that's at 41.9%. The highway, streets, and roads is at 19.4%, and that is the green portion. And the last is the city clerk office at 11.2%, and that is the blue. So with that, I will stand for questions.
Ms. Sturts, I'm gonna start with questions. I have two, and then that leads into a third question.
Okay.
The first one is, how often does the city of Wyoming get really close to what we budget to what we spend?
Let me stop sharing my screen here. We do a pretty good job of budgeting. Every year when I go through the budget, I look at the previous 2 years and see where we were aligned at with, or where we ended at in the budget. So then we increase or decrease according to that. And then I also include the department heads in with what they want, and they always know what's coming ahead and what their needs are. So I say we do a pretty good job every year of pretty close to getting what, or pretty close to the budget.
So you would say we're pretty lean, correct?
Yeah.
Yep, okay. And so with that being said, and we do have to raise our budget, do you know what the average increase of cost and goods have been to cities? So what's an average increase that we're seeing in general for whether it's computers or something for public works in terms of fixing the roads? You know, what have you been seeing that has increased or that is impacting budgets? What do you think that increase would be in general?
In the last couple of years, prices have skyrocketed. I've seen things have gone up at least more than half of what they used to be 3-4 years ago. Since 2020, since COVID, stuff has increased drastically. Fuel's starting to go back down now, so we took that into consideration. A lot of the other cities are about in line with what Wyoming's proposing this year as well.
Okay, great. So it's not out of line, because we do have to, if we were not to increase that budget, how do we afford to pay any of the increases in cost and services that come through the city, correct?
Yep.
Okay, and this leads me to the last question or the last statement. Because of how well we budget and watch our tax rates, our levies, and all that kind of stuff, is it correct that we were able to, is it increase our rating so to a double, is it double A? Double A2. So, and
Yes.
that's pretty significant, is it not, within a city that does budget well?
Yes. Yep. Rob, I'll let you expand on that. You know a little bit more. You were in the calls for that, so I'll
Sure,
let you take that. But
certainly
yes,
it-
overall, yes.
Yeah, as far as the city's overall bond rating, that was done this year when Moody's did an analysis as we're gonna be bonding for the 2024 street project. So really, there's a lot of benchmarks that Moody's does as far as analysis, but as we had talked about the last council meeting, it's the work that the council has done as far as setting your budgets and working through a lot of your policies that have enabled us to get that upgrade in our rating from an A3 to an A2, which is excellent, so.
And that eventually saves us money as well,
Correct,
because we should
because-
be getting lower interest rates, correct?
Correct, through those, when we
Okay.
go up for those bond sales.
Okay, so overall, we've done pretty good in the last 8 years. Fabulous.
Yes, I would agree with that statement.
All right, thank you. Questions from council? We'll start with Member Luger.
I just have a few questions. We know that we're not isolated from the market or the economy, and certainly we know that there are costs that we have to calculate into our budget, like health insurance increases and increase in cost of services and COLA and things like that. When I look at kind of where some of the increases are, like $100,000 into streets, $60,000 into capital equipment areas. My question is, how have these been calculated? What, and then also, oh, go ahead.
Okay. A while back, the city did do a long-term plan, so I have been following the long-term plan.
Okay. And so that leads into the second half of my question, and this is more for city staff. Let's say that we say, gosh, $100,000 in the streets is just too massive. Where does that leave us in terms of our street quality, and what is the impact to our residents?
Is Mr. Sturts identified, we did do the long-term plan here a few years ago and did an updated rendition to it recently, but as part of that, that was something that was identified to continue on the streets that we're doing and to be able to mix in components of years where we bond and actually years where we're gonna be paying cash for those to really watch our debt levy and our debt ratio. So we've seen that and been calculated in regards to that, not only having the increase is $100,000 annually to that street fund, along with franchise fees, to really continue to be aggressive on those as the council has made that a priority and to be able to do a project every year. Without that, certainly you're going to see there's kind of a compounding effect as you through that long-term plan. You'll see that $100,000 continues for a large duration of time, and as we know, there are continued to be issues with streets, and they will always be issues with streets forever. We're going to need to have replacement on streets, and I think we started a little behind, but have been extremely aggressive of doing almost approaching a third of our streets in the last about 10 to 12 years here. So I think we're on our way, but I think looking at that and trying to be strategic with it, that's why we do the long-term planning. That's why we have the 5-year capitals to try to keep these levies somewhat within balance and to work through those. So it's really a culmination of that work and the council's done for that long-term planning to really try to ensure that we have some consistency within our agenda, with our levies, and not too much, static of the really up and down.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Right, Member Onstad?
Looking at the city of Wyoming tax rate over the last 6 years, even though it went up about 3%, it would appear that it's still below the average of the previous 5 years. Does that statement sound correct? That it even though it has increased, it's still below average?
Yeah, I would agree with that, yes.
Thank you.
All right, Member Yeager?
No questions.
got it all down, still think it's a little high.
Okay, and Member Schilling?
No questions.
All right.
He actually asked my question at the end there, so.
All right, perfect. Well, thank you so much for your presentation. It's always good to see you.
Yeah, thanks.
Good to see you guys too.
All right, let's see. So we're back to 19. To consider resolution 240988, a resolution approving a preliminary tax levy for 2025 and setting a public hearing for truth and taxation at the December 3rd, 2024 Wyoming City Council meeting. Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion to approve by Member Onstad. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Member Schilling. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
So approved. Number 20, to consider a compensation study from David Drown Associate and Company, or Company. Mr. Linwood.
Yes, thank you, Mayor, members of the council. The purpose of the memo and the purpose of the compensation study is to essentially conduct compensation study for our 11 non-union positions. This is something that we did with this many of you in this council back in 2018. It's something to do to make sure our compensation packages are competitive, fair, and aligned with current standards. DDA, or David Drown and Associates, they specialize in government-related compensation studies, and they have a track record, as you can see by the references, of doing these types of studies. Essentially, they emphasize kind of the practicality and making sure that these are done correctly with doing this with a comprehensive market analysis. They've assured us that the study would be understandable, technically sound, and designed for implementation. DDA would be utilizing the same comp cities that we have used from previous studies and our contract negotiations. So as we move forward with this would just be, staff is recommending that we improve the compensation study by DDA as a total cost of $3,310.
Okay. Questions from council. We'll start with Member Yeager.
Has the city looked at any other firms to do this?
I have reached out to both Abdo Eck and Myers that does our finances, and then also to Baker Tilly, and both to even just do a compensation, you'd be probably looking at least triple the cost of David Drown and Associates.
Okay. So in the, well, what are the comp cities that we're using?
It's the list that you've seen for all of our contract negotiations and the prior ones. I don't have the list in front of me.
I don't have a list in front of me either, and I can
Yeah,
find it
it's
at
the one
home,
that the
so-
council had approved prior, and that we based all of our contract negotiations on previously, so we feel
Could
it's
you get us a
appropriate.
list, please, a list so that we know what it is?
Sure.
Appreciate that. As for, I mean, I looked at our non-union positions. Should the administrator and department heads be included with this?
They are also city employees, so that would be a normal through a compensation study that all of the employees are inclusionary.
You did say 11.
Correct.
Yeah.
Right, so yeah, I went through the city directory and came up with the 11 positions. And I'm not totally comfortable with administrator and department heads, but that's just me. And then I'm also concerned about what happens if the ramifications of this report doesn't match what we've already settled our union contracts for. You know, what will this would do with employee morale, because people want to be treated equally. Budget impacts, you know.
You're correct, there are impacts of a compensation study, but if you want to retain and attract employees, these are things that every city does. It's a natural thing for cities to do to ensure that you keep those employees and are able to attract new employees and don't have employees leave for cities that were they be getting compensated and maybe not that much of a larger city. So it's a normal exercise for cities to do these.
Okay.
All right. Member Schilling?
I don't have any questions. I'm all in favor of this. I like keeping things market rate. I like keeping things comparable because, you know, we had an item on our agenda tonight that we're going to be replacing another inspector. You know, I don't like seeing that. I think we're a really good community. I think our staff is really, I mean, from the things that I've talked about or heard, you know, they seem to all gel pretty well. And I like to hang on to people that are good people that are dedicated to our community. So one of the ways I believe doing that is keeping us at that market rate or keeping us comparable to the cities and the surrounding communities. So I'm all in favor of this, so that's all I have.
All right, Member Onstead.
I would agree with that, that we need to be ahead of this, rather than behind on it. Just to be a forward-thinking city and treat our employees with the respect that they deserve. And they'll turn around and treat the residents the same way.
Okay, thank you. Member Lugar?
I don't have anything terribly different. I know we have an incredibly hardworking and talented staff here, and I think, yeah, I'm all in favor of this study. Everybody should be paid appropriately, whether union or non-union. So, yes, totally in favor of it.
Perfect. All right. So we need a motion to approve the compensation study from David Drown Associates and Company. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Member Lugar. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Member Onstead. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So approved. Number 21, dog park naming contest. Mr. McFarland, I know people that I've talked to, super excited about this.
Boy, oh boy. Honorable Mayor and members of council, the new Wyoming Dog Park has been open for nearly 4 months now. In that time, we've seen it's had heavy use, and we've heard from residents that it's something that they enjoy, and they're happy to be here. One other thing that we've heard from residents is just questions on the name of the actual park. Makes it easier to find it on our website and just easier to have a sense of place. With that, then, staff has kind of started kicking around the idea of naming that dog park, and what you see before you is what we came up with, which is that dog park naming contest. In past years, I don't know how long, I guess, but since I've been here, a year, staff has a City of Wyoming booth at Stagecoach Days. Last year, we promoted the Buying a Brick program for Railroad Park, and just kind of got the word out for that. This year, in addition to, again, talking about Railroad Park, we also wanted to dedicate a portion of the booth then to this dog park naming contest, not only to get submissions, but also just to keep getting the word out there on this park. So with this as well, we kind of put together a basic idea of how this would work. We'd be collecting forms for about a week from individuals for the name that they're proposing. We would work to narrow it down to about 10 names. We'd put forth those names on a community poll. With that, we'd see the results. We'd share those naming results with the Park Advisory Commission, and they would advise on a potential name for the city council then to discuss and decide upon. So also attached to the page with this is just the basic entry form that we'll have on our website, on our Facebook, and then also at that Stagecoach Day booth. And with that, the second page then just kind of states the overall criteria and contest rules and how to submit those. So they'd go directly to me, and they can find, like I said, those forms online at any of those places or come to City Hall to pick it up. But with that, kind of just looking for general consensus on if we want to move forward with that and if there's any questions.
Okay, and there's no age limit, so it could be a 5-year-old naming it versus a 100-year-old, right?
Yeah, if
No
they have an awesome
difference
name,
the
for sure.
Yep,
Yeah.
that's all that matters. Okay, that's my only question. All right, Member Lugar,
No questions. I think this is a great idea.
Member Onstead,
I agree with it too. It's two paws up again.
okay, Member Schilling,
No questions. We gotta pick something really good.
and
The weirder, the better.
Member Yeager.
No questions.
All right, so we need a motion to approve the dog park naming contest. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Oh, motion by Member Lugar, second by Member Onstead. That's how I heard it. Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So approved. That is, I think, very exciting for a community to rally behind.
I
so,
can't wait to see what they come up with.
Yeah, that's great.
I think
All right.
It's gonna be fun at Stagecoach
I
Days.
think so too. Number 22, Mayor for a Day contest. Mr. McFarland, you are busy tonight.
I'm back. The Mayor for a Day contest is something that a lot of cities, at least in the state of Minnesota, participate in. And so staff is proposing that that's something that Wyoming jumps on board with as well. One of the great things about this contest is it can foster leadership and also teach the youth about kind of the role of government and their local government. These contests typically involve school-age children, like 4th to 6th graders, and they're asked to craft some kind of essay on something related to local government. We'd like to start participating in this tradition by hosting the local Mayor for a Day contest, and we'd also like to do that in conjunction with the League of Minnesota Cities, which does that yearly. To start with the City of Wyoming's, we're proposing that our guidelines, much like the League of Minnesota Cities, would encourage students in 4th, 5th, and 6th grade to submit an essay about what they would do if they were mayor for a day. Those essays, we would pick then a winner from each grade, and they'd be provided the following prizes, which I listed on the sheet, but there's a certificate of recognition signed by the mayor and city administrator, display the winning essay at City Hall and at the Wyoming Public Library. We'd publish those on the social media sites and our website. Public recognition during a Wyoming City Council meeting, and then to be determined, but a $25 gift card to a local Wyoming business. I'm still trying to nail down a business that'll answer the call to that one. So work in progress. But additionally then, I kind of stated earlier, but the League of Minnesota Cities also does this yearly. Their parameters are largely the same as what we have, and we'll go over in a second here. But we want to run this in conjunction with them. So if you win the statewide League of Minnesota Cities contest, you get a $100 prize and then a recognition in the Minnesota Cities magazine. One of the reasons that we kind of liked the idea of not just having or collecting essays and sending them off to League of Minnesota Cities, but rather having our own contest was to ensure that some Wyoming residents, particularly those obviously 3 individuals, would win every single year. And so it encourages you to get involved and learn more about your local government for sure. So we laid out then as well basic rules and eligibility. Kind of like you need to sign the rules and regulation forms, you need to be a 4th, 5th, or 6th grader. Essays are 400 words or less. They must be written by the student on their own, and they need to get in before the deadline. And then I also provided a proposed timeline, and the proposed timeline is just because we're working through it, but also at this moment, League of Minnesota Cities does not have a finalized timeline for this year. They just haven't put that out yet. But I've been in contact with the individual that runs it there, and they're going to keep us posted. But we would open it up at the end of this month on the 30th, so we would advertise that on our social medias and our website that people can start submitting those essays. And then by the 31st, the LMC would be announcing their winner, but I anticipate we would have our winner picked by December. And then after we have our winner picked, they'd be waiting a few additional months to see if they would also potentially win the LMC's contest.
Nice.
So also attached to this then was the rules and regulations form, kind of gets a lot of their information, just states what the contest is all about. The LMC's Mayor for a Day form from 2023, so we'll have a new one for this 2024 when that's ready. And then finally, just a mock Mayor for a Day certificate for the 3 individual winners. So with that, just looking for comment and if that's something that the council is generally in favor of us trying out.
Great. I have a couple questions first.
Of course.
So the first one would be, is there a way, before COVID, we went into the schools and we were able to meet the kids and just talk about general city, what goes on with the city. Can we do that and go in and actually promote this to the schools? Just an idea.
Yeah, no, a great idea. Not something that I've actually looked into yet, but I don't see why we couldn't at least, ask if that's something they'd be into.
Yeah.
So
I
for
hear
sure.
the principal there is really a great principal, so it'd be kind of nice to maybe get involved with that. My other question is this, and it's a little bit off of just the 4th, 5th, and 6th graders. We do have older teenagers, young adults with some challenges. And I would like to see a way that they could be involved as well, because it would be exciting for them too, that look at local government. I've met a couple now that would love to be able to be Mayor of the Day. So council, I'm asking, and also Mr. McFarland, how do we incorporate kids or young adults with special needs that may be able to want to be a part of local government and get them involved? So those are my 2 questions, comments on that. And I don't know how that fits in here, or we
Sure.
do something different.
The one thing I could share is then obviously the LMC's contest is just 4th, 5th, and 6th graders. That doesn't mean that we can't extend that parameter for our own. We just have to make it clear that that would be as far as they go. We couldn't submit them to LMC's
Yeah.
contest just due to eligibility.
Yeah, or do we do something different
Sure.
for young adults that may not be able to do that? I'm not sure what that looks
Sure.
like. But like I said, I've met a couple of the young adults that would probably think it's pretty cool as well to be a part of our Mayor for the Day or council for that. So, perfect, thank you. Okay, questions. Let's start with Member Yeager.
No questions.
Member Schilling.
I really don't have any questions. I know that 4th, 5th, and 6th graders academically are far smarter than I am. I learned that from that show. No, I think this is a neat little thing, and then whomever the winner is, I mean, is there any way we could just plug them in and see if they could beat Claire's record for the shortest council meeting?
Wow, way to go there.
Well, I just,
Challenge
I thought about that while we were talking about this, so.
Way to go
No,
there.
I think this is a cool little thing, and I agree with you. Yeah, let's go for it, so.
All right, perfect. Member Onstad?
I think we could do a shorter meeting as long as we don't go into closed session during it.
Right.
All right, and Member Luker?
Who judges the essays?
Oh, yeah, thank you.
Is it like a panel of staff or like?
Are you saying for us or for LMC?
us.
I think that at the moment we had talked about it being members of staff, and then if we made some kind of committee, but I think we'd explore that as it got closer, for sure.
I like
And-
this idea a lot. I think it promotes civic engagement, and I think that's everything.
Yeah.
Could we add that maybe they get a T-shirt or a polo shirt or something? That would be like, I was mayor for the day or something. I mean,
Certainly,
I think that would be kind of cool.
yeah, prize being legacy for sure.
City of Wyoming.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be a mayor when I grow up.
Why not?
So,
Nothing wrong with it.
Today, too?
today I'm the future. I am the future, yeah, so, perfect, that sounds very exciting. So, I am gonna make the first motion for the contest for mayor of the day. Do we have a second motion?
Second.
Second by member Onstad, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So approved. Number 23, to consider a city council work session on September 17th, 2024. Mr. Linwood, it's your turn.
Yes, thank you, Mayor, members of council. Staff is requesting a work session on September 17th at 5:30 prior to our regularly scheduled council meeting. There are 3 different topics that we'd like to go through with the council. One has been discussion, you may have seen in the Chisago County Press, there was an article about the potential extension of Wyoming library hours. There is some discussion about us being a pilot. The county board has asked for some of the funding information from Carla Lydon and the ECRL on this. Carla Lydon, I did contact her, and she is willing to come out and speak to the council to kind of give an overview of how this project works and other communities that it has been successful, and they've utilized it a lot in Scott County and Dakota County. So she would be here to talk to the council about that and how that would work. Secondly would be Mark Lobermeyer from our Planning Commission. Our Planning Commission Chair would like to discuss with the council to talk about a rezoning initiative to align with our comprehensive plan. It's essentially ensuring that our zoning map accurately reflects the community's long-term vision for growth. Currently, there's a lot of different discrepancies within that zoning ordinance, within the parcels, and it just essentially to get that aligned with that comp plan. So he'd like to discuss that with the council, talk about what that would look like and how the Planning Commission would begin that work. And then lastly would be discussion on the Wyoming Fire Department performance measures. Our Public Safety Director, Neil Bauer, would just like to initiate some of the conversations in regards to some of the performance measures for the Wyoming Fire Department, essentially assessing their effectiveness as a department, current operations. Key metrics would be things like response times, number of firefighters available for different calls, types of calls, mutual aid provided and received, public education outreach, and recruitment and retention. So that would just be the foundation for anything that we would do in looking at this, or how we might utilize that information for adjustments in that department service delivery. That would be our 3 items, and we are requesting, like I said, that work session on the 17th at 5:30 p.m.
Okay. And that happens to be our council meeting that night at
Correct.
7. So did everybody check the calendars?
It's already on mine.
Are we going to get through all this in an hour and 50 minutes?
I think so. I think in regards to what we have, yeah, I think speaking with Carla Lydon and speaking with Mr. Lobenmeyer and Mr. Bauer, I think we should be just fine.
Okay.
So Chief Bauer, are you sure you have your presentation timed? You'll practice it?
I feel like that was a little bit of a dig.
Just thought I'd ask.
Now we're good.
All right, sounds good. All right, we need a motion to approve the city council work session for September 17th, 2024. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by member Schilling, do we have a second?
Second.
Second by member Luker, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, so approved. Council reports, we'll start with member Luker.
I have nothing. Thank you all for watching.
Member Onstad,
No reports, thanks for watching at home.
member Yeager,
No reports, thanks for watching.
member Schilling.
No report?
All right, thank you. I have 3 things on here. Planning Commission, we did have the Planning Commission, and just talking about the comp plan and how we adjust all of it, and they're working really hard. I did also attend Halbert for the Arts. They had the state of Minnesota, Mr. Lynn, what would you call it? What was that whole group?
Roundtable discussion.
Yeah, but the Minnesota,
East End, or the arts,
I know,
I
it's like-
apologize, the, Essentially,
MA?
it's essentially the large organization from the state that gives funding to a lot of your local art
Legacy fund.
501c3s, yes, the Minnesota Arts Legacy Group with Legacy Fund. But yes, it was a roundtable to talk about the impact of the arts in our community.
Yeah, it was.
And how beneficial it has been for our city.
Yeah, they had several committee members come from the state to ask questions from the arts board members. They asked me to come in and speak. They asked Mr. Linwood. He did have something on his calendar. I changed some things around. It was very exciting to be able to let them know that with my day job and how I get all over the state, that people outside of Wyoming and Forest Lake actually talk about Hubbard for the Arts and how great it is for the city. So that was very impactful, and to know that they're up for that Legacy Award. And the other thing I would like to say is to Mr. Reese. So thank you for painting the crosswalks. I've had several residents tell me how nice it is to see our crosswalks painted and that kind of thing. It was really great. And I feel like the crosswalk by the grocery store, are those bigger? Or is it just my imagination that the signs are bigger for that crosswalk?
The crosswalk rectangles are the same. They do look a little bit different because I
Yeah.
think they were wore down so bad because they hadn't been done.
Okay.
But they are the same. We're using the same template for that.
Okay,
so.
but the sign itself, that
Oh, the
neon
sign?
colored one, I swear it looks bigger. Maybe it's because it looks really nice, I don't know, but,
I'd have to measure it. I can't say off the top of my head.
Yeah.
It was installed prior to my arrival, so.
okay, well, it looks
but
fantastic.
Thank
So-
you. Yeah, we're happy to do it. It's a new operation for our department, but it's definitely something we can do and something we want to build into. We're working through new scheduling and working through, how to, space things out to
Yeah.
get a workflow for the year, and this is definitely something that we want to add in, to continue to work on an interval, basically.
Yeah.
So we work these rectangles one year and then the next ones, so we're not doing it all at once,
Yeah,
so.
I really appreciate that, and so do the residents. Again, like I said, I had several of them say, hey, this is super cool that that's being done, so
Yep.
appreciate it. You're doing a great job, and I hear that a lot, so
Thank
we
you.
appreciate it.
Thanks. Yeah, it's,
And to the staff.
The crew really enjoyed doing it. They hadn't, a number of them hadn't done it before. It's something I had done in the past, and it's
Yeah.
fun. It's something that the community sees, like you're pointing out, so it gives us a sense of satisfaction we're doing something to help out, so,
Yeah, perfect.
Happy to do it.
Appreciate that.
thank you.
All right, that's all I have for tonight. We need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by member Schilling. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned at 7.